Yeah, but see what it does is it recognizes input from the microphone, and it automatically switches between the two.
Oh yeah.
You see?
How do we get so we can see Dr. Moore?
He'll have to tilt his camera down.
Oh.
Dr. Moore, we can only see the top of your head.
Oh. That was bad.
Hi.
Yeah, that top knot's looking pretty top notch.
You did get a haircut though.
Well, I did. You're right. Very perceptive. All my strength is gone.
I got one too. So.
Okay, who's the one tonight?
I can kick it off.
Go ahead.
Tears the crater, filled with the smell of incense and covered in a blanket of flowers. The great mountain and the four continents, wearing a jewel of the sun and moon. In my mind, I make them the paradise of the Buddha, and I offer them all to you. By this deed, may all beings experience the pure one. Idam Guru Ratnamandala Kamiyate. I go for refuge to the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha until I achieve it. By the power of the goodness that I do, and giving another rest, may I reach Buddhahood for the sake of everything. I go for refuge to the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha until I achieve enlightenment. By the power of the goodness that I do, and giving another rest, may I reach Buddhahood for the sake of everything. I go for refuge to the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha until I achieve enlightenment. By the power of the goodness that I do, and giving another rest, may I reach Buddhahood for the sake of everyone.
Okay, the last time I met with y'all, I said you had a homework question. What did Idam Guru Ratnamandala, etc. mean? And Adam came up with about 85% right. So somebody help me. What does it mean?
Let me.
Look for it.
I don't know.
Just been put on the spot.
I know. Adam put me on the spot a minute ago with the 6 perfections, and I just stared blankly at him.
I wrote them down though.
I bestow upon you this precious garland, O Guru.
Close. Ratna is what?
Jewel.
Jewel. Mandala.
World.
I present a world full of jewels to my Lama.
Oh, okay. I'm going to write that down.
What for?
So I'll remember.
Okay. So it's like you think of Mount Meru, the tallest mountain, and you think of it being filled with all kinds of jewels, diamonds at the top, and then rubies, and sapphires, and lapis, and so forth. And you offer that to your teacher. Any questions? Anything about the last class?
Yeah. It sounds like Kate's mom was kind of having a. I don't want to put you on the spot either.
Well, it does put me on the spot because I realize that. God, I feel like the weak link here, but.
No, don't be like that.
Well, no, I'm happy to be here. I'm really happy to be here, but.
And I'm happy to have you.
It was a little over my head.
Was it?
Yeah, it was. It's really good though because it makes me a little bit more mindful at work. I catch myself a lot more often, and I think that's a step in the right direction.
That's perfect. It's got to be practical.
Yeah, and that's about the extent of what I get is practical, and then the rest of it's like, what's that mean? Like ultimate perception. That's what Adam was. That's why we were going over the 6 perfections. It was a little bit confusing.
I have to say, I'm in the same boat as you are. I've gone over things, I don't know, dozens and dozens of times, and very often when I've done them multiple times, I come up with something that I thought, oh, wow, why didn't I get that? Don't feel bad that it's over your head. Things will come. And it takes a lot of repetition.
It does, because I've actually listened to both Course 1 and 2 in Geshe Michael's teachings, and it's like, have I really heard this before? Because
Yeah, that's what you have to. You have to do that over and over. Well, tonight we're going to do beginning course 3, applied meditation.
oh, good.
Well, yeah, except it's the real galupa headlines, list after list after list, and there's a lot of them. And you have to keep in mind it's on meditation, and it's related to 2 types of meditation. One that you might do on an hourly basis, daily basis, and one that you would do in retreat. So some things are more applicable to each, and you have to put them into the cubby hole that fits. They're all good things, of course. And what we did with the Idam Guru mantra, we did what's called a Samantabhadra offering, and we made something huge, magnificent, unfathomable. And these teachings come from that and from Jason Kappa's Lam Chenmo, the great book on the steps of the path. And it is said that when you offer something, if you can magnify it, then you receive a great magnification of good karma from that offering. So to offer something like a mountain full of jewels is big time, more than if you put out a cup of water.
Yeah.
But it's in your mind, and that's okay, because that creates the karmic seeds that you need to move along the path. So don't let that disturb you. Mental is most of the stuff. In meditation, it is not the path. Some people have this concept that meditation is some woo type stuff. It's a tool, and that's all. And you use it to help you along the path. You're making your mind more focused. And your mind's like a sponge, the video camera recorder thing. It just absorbs it. So your mind's taking in the quality of what your mind is on. It's that tool to get you to a higher realm, to get in the meditation, to get you into the form realm, the level of lack of no time. So the first type of there's 3 kinds of meditation. There's habituation, which is very much as it sounds. It's burning in things into your mind by just doing it over and over and over. And it's just like we're talking about, Janice, with this stuff. To get it to stick on, we've got to do it again and again and again. So that's the first kind of meditation. The other kind is analytical. And that's just where you pick an object and you analyze it. Something in the teachings thrills you or confuses you or just need more depth. And so you work on that over and over and over. And the third kind we get into well, it's object meditation, where you concentrate on a specific object and just stick with it. And there you develop samadhi, S-A-M-A-D-H-I, and that's the ability to concentrate single-pointedly on an object. And then if you move a step higher, you get to shamatha, S-H-A-M-A-T-A. And that's the most powerful, the highest form of samadhi. That's where you can concentrate for hours on an object. And with that can lead you into the direct perception of emptiness. So there's 5 parts for the study of the practice of meditation. And we'll get into some of the detail of that later. Number one is how to prepare for meditation. And with that, there's 6 preliminaries. Yeah, I know. And number 2, there's 6 conditions for an ideal environment. Number 3 is the correct posture. Number 4 is engaging in the mental process. And number 5 is your meditation object. So it's often said that people say, well, I've been meditating for years and I'm not doing any good at it. I've not accomplished what I think I should. Certainly haven't seen emptiness yet. What's going on? And one of the big things is that you don't do those people don't do the preliminaries. And they function to just kind of smooth the mind some. Make it like a smooth pond instead of the ripples. So there are 6 preliminaries that should be done before a meditation. And you make a clean and sacred place with an altar. And that's sort of important, even though the more cluttered it is, the more cluttered your mind is, and the harder it is to concentrate. So if something is not disturbing at all to you in the environment, it helps to calm the mind. You make an offering. It's an offering to the senses. And you think, well, why should I make an offering? Water, cookie, what is that? The enlightened people don't do that. Don't eat it. Santa Claus doesn't eat it. Easter Bunny doesn't eat it. What it does is they get the essence of it. And it gives them bliss because they understand the emptiness of it. If you're going to set out things, whether it's 1, 2, 3 things, excuse me, if it's 2, 3 or more things, you start at the left and move to the right. And then when you're through, you pick it up from the right and you go to the left. And a lot of us don't have a lot of time for our morning meditation. So to go through a great big 7-bowl offering and what it means and all, it gets to be a lot. So do one thing. Put you out a glass of water that's special. Light a candle. Something, simplify it, but in your mind, magnify it. For instance, if you've been to New York, especially, and you go to the Indian cafes or restaurants, my gosh, they got every light in the world all over the place, all these Christmas lights and all of stuff. So think, I'm offering this multicolored, all the lights that are filling the whole sky. And when you do the water, if you should do water, I'm offering the purest, cleanest water. It tastes so sweet, and you can have all you want. Things like that, whatever you might do, and yet it only takes a moment, but it's increasing the karma that you collect. Number 3, you go for refuge, and you think about bodhicitta. And so when you go for refuge, remember there's 2 parts to that. There's 2 thoughts that you need to have. And one is a fear of suffering. And the other is there's something out there that will help. And that's 2 of the 4 Arya truths. And I don't know how many times, whether I'm at work or a social event or whatever it might be, that somebody's had a problem. And life for them just sucks at the time. And I'll say to them, life is hard. And I say it intentionally because I want them to realize that, to develop some renunciation. Of course, it's a very low level comment from their understanding, but that's what we have to understand. Life is hard. It's not smooth. It's one hardship after another. And there's this path that can get us out of it. So number 4, think about the lamas that gave you all this information, or think of one. And this is really who you're going to for refuge. We're always given this long lineage, and with all these funny names, I don't know what they look like. I can't remember the names. I don't even want to remember the names. But I have 3 or 4 main teachers that have taught me, and when I do it, I'll put them in progression, and each one dissolves into the next one until I get to the main one, and that's who that I think about. So it encompasses them all. Those are just some of the things that I've developed over the years, and you can play with it, certainly, whatever's comfortable with you. And I can't remember 64 members of the lineage. Yeah. And if you look at one of those posters, you'll see at the bottom another 70 or 80 people that are in the lineage. Just keep remembering. Yeah. Number 5. You gather good energy and you purify obstacles. And you purify them through the 7 ingredients. So you're doing 2 things here. You're getting built up, you're feeling good, you gather good energy, and you're getting rid of crap that bothers you. And that stuff that bothers you interferes with your meditation. Somehow it comes to the top of the heap over and over. Number 6 is request blessings from the holy beings. I do this out of order. When I do my prostrations, when I come in the room before I do my prostrations, I'm requesting blessings. When you do, feel a light is coming from their heart directly to your heart. And when you ask for this blessing, ask something specific. Bless me in this meditation too, whatever is comfortable for you. Don't just say, when we were taught originally in some of the courses, Geshe Michael said, bless me to increase my dharmic ability, knowledge. What was the word he used? Can't remember. Aptitude, my dharma aptitude. That's good, but do something personal. Yeah, I do want to know the Dharma better. I do want to understand it better. I do want to perform it better. No question about that. But make it something personal, something that you're there for the meditation for. And feel this light. Feel it coming from his heart to your heart. He hears you. He's there. He'll help you. Just asking for something creates the karmic seed for it to come. And you must prepare yourself to be successful in your meditation practice. And to do that, you've got to have less distractions. For a while, Geshe Michael was doing a meditation where he started out thinking of things in the past, then in the present, then in the future. And all of that was to try to teach you to not think past, present, not what you're going to have for dinner later. And number 7, that's 6. So those were the 6 preliminaries. Do you need a light? Okay. Okay, so the 7 ingredients, which was part of step 5, they serve to gather positive potential. The point of spiritual practice is to change your mind. We've got to get out of this rut that we were taught since we were 2 years old by the establishment, be they church, police, government, president, governor, mom, dad, everything. We've got to take it a step further. So the first ingredient is prostration. And when you do a prostration, visualize yourself sending out emanations, countless of yourself, billions of yourself, to these holy beings. And there's three kinds of holy beings that we do here that do the teachings of the Dharma. Those who've seen emptiness, and those that give you the teachings, and holy beings. So just see yourself at the feet of every one of those as much as you can imagine. You don't have to, once again, see a specific face, but the more you can, the more karma you collect, more positive karma you collect. But on the other hand, if you're not comfortable with that, pick out one of your teachers, or maybe one this week and one next week that are very special to you, and prostrate to them. The mindset is that's what's so important. It's not physical. The second one is your offering. See yourself making the offerings to your Lama. Number 3 is confessing. Purify yourself of negative deeds. You got to be open. You got to be honest. Our mind plays games with us. Well, I really didn't get angry. Yeah, I raised my voice a little bit, but I really wasn't feeling angry. But we were. Maybe it's a lesser degree, but we were. So instead of saying, well, it really wasn't that bad, I'll just let that one go and go for another one. That's where the honesty comes in. This is the only one of the 7 that has to do with removing obstacles. All the rest are there to accumulate virtue as goodness. Number 4, rejoice. That strengthens and increases your virtue. And rejoice your good to others. Boy, I guess you might have spent hours and hours lately, hadn't he, trying to make us realize how important that is, instead of our Judeo-Christian background, guilt. You got to feel bad. I'm teaching a fellow from Dallas who lives in the Dallas area now, who was a Christian minister, and talk about guilt. Jeez. And I mean, it's what he was brought up with. There's some guy a long time ago that screwed up, and we're now suffering all because of him. That's always troubled me when I was a little kid. I don't even know the guy, and I'm bad because of him. Number 5, request teachings from your alum.
You're younger. You're a totally different person.
Yeah.
So request teachings from the Lama, the one that you prostrated to. And once again, you can rotate that, or you can do it from multiple at a time. Number 6, ask the teachers to stay near you. Now, tomorrow, future lives. Ask them to stick with you. And number 7 is dedicate the goodness you have done. You can always do the dedication. We've talked about this before. You can always do the dedication that we do at the end, which is an excellent Nagarjuna's dedication. But it's a very general dedication. So do something specific. You did the 4 powers yesterday because you didn't quite tell the truth. You didn't really lie, but you kind of twisted a little bit. So you're trying to work within it. So dedicate it. I did this. I was here for these teachings to get rid of my negative karma of that lie. So yeah, if you could be specific, it's more powerful, and it helps to damage that negative karmic seed. But if you can't think of anything, do the general one. It's a good one. So there's 6 conditions for a conducive environment. And when you hear these, think about Arizona and how that fits in. A conducive place, quiet, no bugs, not too hot, not too cold. Yeah, right. Number 2, live simply. You don't require much. 3, be satisfied with what you have. Give up your busy stuff. No magazines, no Auburn or Alabama concerns. Give up those things. Just think about simplicity. So number 3 was be satisfied. Number 4 was give up busy stuff. Number 5 is maintain an ethical life, because negative energy is detrimental to your thought processes. If you're in a true deep meditation without all the disturbances, then you can't commit negative karma. So that is a goal. Number 6, give up sense desires and worldly pleasures. Try to withdraw the 6 senses. Get out of attachment to sensory things. When I first went to New York, when Bonnie and I first went to New York in 1999, they were doing these month-long tantric retreats. Well, I didn't know what they were. I hadn't gotten initiations yet, and John Stillwell, a very, very good friend of mine, had done one recently, his first one. All he could talk about was the whole thing was filled with sexual desires. And of course, at the time, I thought, boy, is this strange? Is this how they work? And then I come to find out later from things like this, he wasted his whole retreat because he couldn't set aside the sensual pleasures of life. And that's not to say they're a good thing, we shouldn't have them and all that sort of stuff. But in a retreat, we need to try they disturb our mind. So in a retreat, we need to try to set them aside. So the 5 problems of meditation and corrections. Number 1 is just laziness, or not feeling like meditating today. The correction for that is to feel attracted to meditation with faith in its results. The second one, decide to be a good meditator because you want the good results from it. The antidote is because you want the good results.
So the problem is
The antidotes to the first problem.
first 4 antidotes to laziness.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there are 4 antidotes to the first problem.
Oh, that's right. I'm sorry. That's right. Thank you. Yes. The first correction is to feel attracted to meditation with faith in its results. The second one is to decide to be a good meditator because of the benefits. And the third one is to make efforts to be a good meditator, once again, because you want the good results. And number 4, if you meditate regularly, it gives you both mental and physical results, benefits, pleasures.
You know, the only reason I remembered that is because Geshe and Michael told us to consider meditation to be like getting good with a high school girlfriend, right? And that's the only way I remembered it, really. Is you see her, you're like attracted to her, you see the good things in her, you know. Then you familiarize with her with the good qualities, and so on and so on. Right? Am I making that up?
No.
Right.
That's true. Now I remember it perfectly.
Okay. And the fourth correction is meditate regularly. Oh, I said that. Gives you physical and mental pleasures. So the second problem of meditation is losing the object.
Is what?
Losing the object. And the antidote is to bring the object back or remember it.
Easier said than done.
I've done this.
Yeah.
Number 3 is having dullness or agitation. The antidote is watchfulness, because dullness is the greatest enemy, because you can be fooled. You can be fooled into thinking you're progressing when in fact the dullness has got you. There's parts to this fixation, and that's the ability of the mind to fixate on its object.
That's a good thing.
There's clarity, and that's just simply how clear the object is. And the third one's intensity, and that's just a matter of degree of your ability to concentrate on the object. So gross dullness, you have fixation, you can fix on the object, you have attention, but you don't have it clear. You've lost some clarity. Subtle dullness is when you have fixation and clarity, but you don't have any intensity. So the fourth problem is not taking action to correct the dullness or agitation. And you know this has happened when you do catch it and you realize it's happened before. The antidote is to tighten your focus by making the corrections to the dullness and agitation. You make the efforts to correct it. The biggest thing is recognition. If you can recognize it, you can move along in your meditation. But it's hard to do. Your mind gets in that gully, and there you are. And number 5 is when you make corrections when it's not necessary. And that usually occurs when you have some doubt about what's going on. And the antidote to that is just be confident in what you're doing. Yeah.
Can you be confident in what you're doing even if you're doing it wrong? Like, I sometimes mix up the order of the preliminaries, and I just go forward.
That's okay. There are secret ways that when you're short on time that you abbreviate the preliminaries, and that's only to be saying that whatever it is that you may be trying to concentrate on, if you can abbreviate those, you're not doing wrong, but you're able to concentrate on it, and that's the big key. So there's 9 states of meditation. I know it. I know it. This is a hard course.
Well, we just did Jochi, so a lot of us can come
Yeah, yeah. Well, and then when he did the that elephant going up. Yeah, that's all this. It is. Can you the light, the one that's lighted?
No.
There's
Yeah.
the students.
Oh.
Or the teachers, the current Dalai Lamas. Yeah, the teacher.
So the number one is put your mind on the object. And that is, you keep your mind on the object briefly. And number two is you put your mind on the object with some continuity. Longer. And that's said, if you could keep your mind on it for about the length of time it takes you to go around a mala. But you have constant agitation and dullness, both in number one and number two. Number three is putting the mind on the object and patching the gaps. That just means longer and patching the gaps quickly when your focus is lost. So each step is just a little bit stronger with the object. Number four, put your mind on the object closely. And that can keep you from losing the object, but you still have agitation and dullness. It's not till number five that you begin controlling the mind. You have good watchfulness that catches subtle dullness, and the gross dullness is gone. Number six is calming the mind. It's strong watchfulness, catching subtle agitation, which can occur from clamping down on subtle dullness. And here you've conquered subtle dullness. Number seven is totally calming the mind. You've got recollection and watchfulness, and they're total. Totally calming the mind with, you have total recollection and watchfulness. Subtle agitation or dullness, it's almost wiped out here. Number eight is making the mind single pointed. There's no subtle agitation and dullness. But at the beginning of the session, there's some minor corrections that are needed. And number nine, touchdown. Achieve an equilibrium. Without any effort, your mind automatically goes into deep meditation.
I just got it.
Yeah, that's right. The need for, that's what you need for get the direct perception of emptiness. Well, if that's not enough list, we could probably come up with a few more tonight. That's plenty. It's hard. It is. It's a lot. And that's, I mean, he combined the courses to begin with into 10 talks and to cut them down into 2 talks. It's a lot of stuff. It is. And but once again, yes, Katie.
What was number 5? I'm
Oh.
on the last one. I just
Oh,
missed it.
States of meditation.
Yeah, sorry.
That's okay. Controlling the mind, and that's where you have good watchfulness that catches subtle dullness, and gross dullness is gone. You've overcome gross dullness.
Okay. I thought I did. Hey, Kelly, do you want to get that, please? Just get it.
Are there questions?
Well, yes, I have a question.
Okay.
So when I've been, my question is on the object.
Somebody's leaving a message now.
No.
Okay, that's all right.
My question is on the object. It's like, so I have known that you're supposed to choose an object for your meditation, but I've never known what. Well, I guess I could meditate on the teachings, but I've never been able to just get single pointed and pick out like a topic. Like I'm thinking, like if I'm going to meditate on something, it needs to be a phrase, something short and simple, so I can get my mind single pointed on it.
And,
I haven't been able to choose an object or to know what that object should be.
and the word object does not mean an animate, specific entity. A phrase is an object, and that's okay.
Okay.
You can work on what that object means to you. What that what that phrase means to you.
So let's say you were doing a Tong Lin meditation.
Mm-hmm.
Would your object be the Tong Lin, or
Well, in that case, the object would be giving and taking.
okay?
And you go through the process of taking their suffering and giving wellness.
Mm-hmm.
So the phrase would be giving, taking, but it's not. You just don't think of those 3 words. You think of the whole interaction that goes on between you and the individual.
So the visualization would be the object, I guess.
Yeah.
Like single pointing on the visualization.
Mm-hmm.
I can see that.
Because I think a lot of people think, oh, I need to focus on one thing, and don't realize the visualization as a whole is the object.
The Dake, which is the Vajrayogini prayer book, it's, I don't know, 60, 70 pages. And people ask Ken Rinpoche, well, I mean, it's 1,000 things in there. And he said, no, it's not. It's one object that progresses along.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
In Mahamudra, you take every existing object. I think, I'm not entirely sure. It's kind of what you do though, when you watch the mind like that. You watch the thoughts come and go. So you're taking all existing phenomena as your object.
I believe you're taking the mind as the object.
Aye.
And then you're working with all existing things that pass through the mind.
Aye. Yeah. That's a better way to put it.
I can hear you thinking, Janice.
I am. I'm thinking, well, what I just heard in my understanding is like, well, wouldn't that be like just watching your thoughts?
Mm-hmm.
But if we're supposed to be focused on single-pointedly, I'm not going to use the word object.
That's interesting.
Yeah, I'm just kind of going, I don't want to be watching my thoughts. I want to be single-pointed. Like, just for me, I don't know that I have the words. I want to be single-pointed on becoming enlightened. So maybe I just envision this enlightened being. Like I've heard Geshe Michael and some of the stuff I've listened to, he and Mama Christie would visualize their angel bodies. You know, I mean, I'm just using that for an example. Would I just single-pointedly envision what my light body would be like if I were enlightened, or
That's it.
okay?
Yes, but when you're meditating on what you're like when you're enlightened, that is an object. However, it's a complex object that has numerous parts to it. So even though you break down, if we just say the body, okay, I'm looking at my pure hand, I'm looking at my pure arm, I'm looking at my pure neck, but it's still the body. So it's got all these parts to it, but you're still working on one thing, that pure body. And when you said the mind and its the thoughts, if you think about all the thoughts, yeah, there's a million of those and they keep coming. But what you're working on there is the mind that is having these thoughts, and you're trying to control the mind so that it's not bouncing all over the place and so distracted. Does that kind of answer?
Yeah, it's getting a little clearer. I've just realized that I've never, I mean, we've done Tonglen, but I've never actually thought upon an object to meditate upon. And I have heard people say, choose your object before you meditate. And I don't think I've ever been successful in doing that.
It's very difficult. What is taught in some of the basic Lam text is you get a picture of your Lama, the Buddha, whatever you like, and then you look at it very closely, examine it very closely for a while, close your eyes, and then you go through it, top to bottom, side to side, color, line, so forth. So that, again, it's one object, it's the Buddha, but it takes you a while to go through it top to bottom because you're going through all these parts. So object itself is a little bit deceiving to think of it as one thing.
Well, yeah, I can't.
That's a proof for emptiness, actually.
Yeah, I know. I remember hearing this. I'm like, it can't be one thing because you can't look at a car and see the tire. Well, I know, but that's very helpful. I understand where you're going. I can understand it without having the words to put to it, but I have some understanding of what you just explained to me.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
I hear you.
Yeah. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Janet.
Thank you. Want to start it? Me? Oh, I don't even know if I can. Oh, I can. Sashi. Thank you, Dr. Moore.
Thank you, Dr. Moore.
Keep teaching us, please.
Thank
Stay.
Good here. Thank you. Good night. I'll see you next week.
Good night. Bye, Esther.
Bye.
Bye, Esther.
Bye, Esther. Bye, guys.
I like that class.